Something unexpected is happening with Tyler Loop during Ravens training camp. After taking on the huge responsibility of replacing Justin Tucker, the young kicker entered 2026 surrounded by pressure and plenty of questions. But the first signs are showing a different player, and his development is already getting attention inside Baltimore. And the most interesting part is, when this change started showing up, Tyler Loop is becoming more confident, more prepared, and he is responding differently when the pressure increases. Did the Ravens find their next leader on special teams? Because what has happened during these recent practices could completely change how Baltimore sees the future of this position. What's up, Flock? My name is Tiago. I'm a Brazilian Ravens fan, and welcome back to Purple Flock TV. The Ravens' decision on special teams immediately caught attention at the beginning of training camp. Instead of bringing in a veteran kicker to compete with Tyler Loop or an experienced punter to challenge Ryan Eckley, Baltimore chose a different path. The franchise placed two young players at the center of this new plan and showed that it believes in their growth heading into the 2026 season. It is a major commitment, especially at positions where small mistakes often lead to huge consequences. The responsibility on these two players becomes even clearer when you look at the names they are replacing. Tyler Loop was selected to take over for Justin Tucker, one of the greatest kickers in NFL history, and a player who became a trusted figure in Baltimore for years. Ryan Eckley arrived to replace Jordan Stout, who left after a breakout season, and earned one of the biggest contracts among punters in the league. The comparison is unavoidable because both players are trying to fill roles left by players who earn a lot of respect inside the organization. What makes this situation even more interesting is that the Ravens had the opportunity to create a more open competition. The team could have brought in a veteran to push Loop and test his development, or found an experienced punter to compete with Eckley. But Baltimore made a different choice. The second punter on the roster was released before the first training camp practice, and no new kicker arrived to challenge the position. In reality, the Ravens decided that developing these two young players was more important than adding outside competition. This type of decision says a lot about how the Ravens are evaluating their young specialists. The franchise is not only looking at what happened during Tyler Loop's rookie season or Ryan Eckley's early adjustment to the NFL. There is a belief inside Baltimore that these players are improving behind the scenes through daily practice and preparation. And that confidence became even clearer when the coaching staff started explaining why they believe Loop is entering his second season as a completely different player. After everything that happened during his rookie season, it was expected that Tyler Loop would enter 2026 with some questions around him. He took on one of the toughest jobs in the NFL by replacing Justin Tucker, a player who built one of the greatest legacies in Ravens history. And even though Loop had solid numbers, making 30 of his 34 field goal attempts and 44 of his 46 extra points, the final kick against the Steelers became the moment many Ravens fans remembered most. But inside the organization, the evaluation seems to be completely different. The coaching staff is not looking only at that mistake. Anthony Levine Sr. explained that Loop needed time to understand what it truly means to be a professional in the NFL. He said, coming in last year as a rookie, Loop did not know any better. He was still learning how to be a pro. Now, he has a year under his belt. He understands how to take care of his body, how to prepare, and how to find his rhythm. That statement shows that Baltimore believes his growth happened through the small details. The biggest thing that stands out is the way Tyler Loop is approaching his second season. According to Levine, the kicker has been showing more consistency in practice, accepting coaching, and working on important technical adjustments. Special teams coach Randy Brown has focused on details in his mechanics, especially keeping his motion shorter and more efficient. I like this type of improvement because it shows a player focused on building better habits instead of simply trying to forget one mistake from the past. And that might be the biggest reason why the Ravens feel comfortable trusting him. The team is not expecting Tyler Loop to be perfect, but wants to see a player who is ready for the biggest moments. Confidence appears to be growing inside the building, and now the next step is proving that this improvement also shows up when the pressure gets higher. That is exactly what Baltimore has started testing during recent practices. Making a kick during a normal practice session is completely different from needing to deliver when everyone is waiting for the result. The Ravens understand there is no way to perfectly recreate the pressure of a real game, but they have found ways to put Tyler Loop in situations where he has to control his emotions and deliver when the team depends on him. This type of preparation shows that Baltimore wants to develop not only his technique, but also his confidence. During mandatory minicamp, Loop received a simple challenge to understand, but a difficult one to execute. He needed to make a field goal at the end of practice to prevent the entire team from having to return for another meeting. He made it. Then, during the open practice at the University of Maryland, he faced another similar situation. After 2 attempts came close, he needed to make the final kick to prevent the entire team from doing 50 push-ups. Once again, he delivered. The most interesting part was watching how his teammates reacted. Lamar Jackson made sure to congratulate Tyler Loop after the kick and made it clear that the team believes in him. The quarterback said, "Last year he was a rookie and things happened. I was a rookie at one time too, and I had moments that didn't go the way I wanted. But I know he has a lot of motivation, and we all have trust and belief in him." When a leader like Lamar shows that kind of support, it carries a lot of weight inside the locker room. Moments like this might be more important than any training camp statistic. Tyler Loop needed to show that the missed kick against Pittsburgh would not define his career in Baltimore. So far, he has responded the way the Ravens hoped he would. But while the kicker was rebuilding confidence, another young specialist was also starting to get attention from the coaching staff. Ryan Eckley's arrival came during a major transition for the Ravens special teams unit. After losing Jordan Stout, who left following a standout season and earned a major contract in free agency, Baltimore needed to find a new punter. The team chose a young player, but one with qualities that caught attention before he even reached the NFL. During his final season at Michigan State, Eckley led the FBS with an average of 48.5 yards per punt. Beyond his leg strength, he also brings another important skill: experience as a holder on field goals. That role requires tremendous precision and communication because even the smallest mistake between the snap, the hold, and the kick can completely change the result of a play. Early in training camp, that transition appears to be happening quickly. Anthony Levine Sr. praised the rookie's development and said, "He is progressing rapidly. He is sticking to his mechanics, taking coaching, and putting the ball where he wanted to go. I love where he is right now." Comments like this show that Eckley is absorbing information from the coaching staff without looking overwhelmed by the challenge. The most important thing for the Ravens is that Eckley is not being evaluated only as a punter. He is part of a unit that has to work together. The timing between the snap, the hold, and the kick has to be perfect, especially in the biggest moments. And to help these two young players build that connection, Baltimore has someone who understands exactly what it takes to be part of special teams.
If you're enjoying this breakdown, smash that like button to help the purple flock grow.
With Justin Tucker and Jordan Stout no longer in Baltimore, Nick Moore has become the most experienced player in the Ravens specialist group. He signed a contract extension through 2029 and now has a different responsibility inside the team. After learning alongside players like Tucker and Sam Koch, it is now his turn to pass that knowledge on to Tyler Loop and Ryan Eckley. The coaching staff quickly recognized his leadership role. Anthony Levine explained that Moore spends a lot of time during specialist drills talking with the younger players and helping with the small details that make a difference during games. Levine even said, "Nick Moore does a great job with those guys. He is probably the best long snapper in football." That is a huge compliment for a player who often works away from the spotlight. The chemistry between the three players is also being built every single day. Moore has to deliver perfect snaps. Eckley has to handle the ball as a holder, and Loop has to turn that work into points on the scoreboard. Levine explained that the three players are understanding each other's timing better and continuing to improve that connection. It might seem like a small detail right now, but it often becomes a difference when a game is decided by one final play. The Ravens special teams unit has changed completely in a short period of time. The team has moved on from an era defined by Justin Tucker and Jordan Stout, but appears confident in the next generation. Tyler Loop, Ryan Eckley, and Nick Moore still have plenty to prove, but the work being done during training camp shows that Baltimore is trying to build something strong before the season begins. Tyler Loop entered 2026 with one of the biggest responsibilities on the Ravens roster, but the first signs from training camp show a player much more prepared for this challenge. His technical improvement, confidence in pressure situations, and support from his teammates all suggest that Baltimore believes he can fully take over this role. At the same time, Ryan Eckley is also showing that he could become an important piece of this new special teams unit. The most interesting part is that the Ravens are not simply trying to replace important names like Justin Tucker and Jordan Stout. They are trying to create a new identity for this group, with young players receiving trust and veterans like Nick Moore helping them develop. If this chemistry continues to grow, special teams could become one of Baltimore's biggest strengths during the season. Now I want to hear from you. Do you believe Tyler Loop is ready to take over as the new Ravens kicker, or do you still think Baltimore should have brought in a veteran to compete for the job?
And if you're a true Ravens fan and love keeping up with everything happening around the team, don't leave this video without sharing it with a friend who's just as passionate. They're definitely going to enjoy this. See those videos on your screen right now? I picked the first one especially for you, and the other is recommended by YouTube. Go check them out, and I'll see you in the next video.